All right, so I am reasonably happy, which is good enough, with how my text is working. I want to turn off my sketch now, turn off all those other type layers that will stay in my Illustrator file. So I have my Illustrator file saved. Just in case, I can turn everything on and save it. But then I'm going to turn everything off except for my finished type solution. Right. And notice I don't have any white in it at all. It's not a bad idea to check that. Select it all, move it off of the white artboard, and make sure there's no white in the design. If there is white in the design, because you used white shapes to kind of erase away, looks like a Cheshire cat grin, I like that. Then you need to select both shapes and use the white to cut out from the black using the Pathfinder exclude function. But if it does look like this, then you're in good shape. You're going to say File, Save As, a portable vector file, and there's only one format that does that, and that's EPS. So now I have my Carl Assignment 8 Text Design EPS file to the desktop. Keep all of the defaults. And now we're going to do two things. We're going to make a PNG of it that we can see online, so we can submit our black and white text solution. You can submit your sketch if you like, but it's not required for this assignment. But your black text solution is required. And in order to do that, I'm going to go to my very organized folders, and I'm going to open up assignment 7 to get to my PSD file that has the color. So it's right here. I'm going to open that up because that's already a large file format. It's at the resolution I want. I don't need to create a new file and a new rasterization. So there's my spot illustration. I'm going to increase my canvas size so I have room for the text underneath. So I'm going to make the height, let's just make it a square, 14 by 14, but I'm going to grow it from the top with an extension color of white. And then I have to go back to my backgrounds and fill them again. So edit, fill with black. That's why I use the standards. Edit, fill with gray. And I'm going to say File, Save As, once I've changed that, Assignment 8, Spot Illustration with Text. And I'm going to save it to the desktop. Okay, now this is large enough. It's going to be very large, right? This is 14 by 14 inches by 350 pixels per inch. Now I can drag and drop my EPS right onto it. I can place it, and just because I put it right in the middle of everything and I'm on a black background and it's black text, you can't see it. So let me put it on the top. Let me change it to just gray text. And now let me use the Move tool because it's an EPS file. I can hit Command T. I can grow it. I can fit it in. And work with it. I can even scale it. I can't warp it, but I can skew it if I need to and keep it as an EPS. Even while I'm in the middle of transforming, I can put a guide down and help me see where I want the D and the A to line up. There, something like that. Then I place it. Now, is that text strong enough as a shape? I think it's well placed. I think I need that kind of cloud-like shape around it. So there are other things you can do as a vector besides just the text. So now let me go back to my AI file, turn on my sketch, and I just want to make these curves. Not these ones, because the ones at the top are made by my illustration, right? So how can I do that? Well, I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to use just the good old-fashioned pen tool. I'll show you how this can be done because it's worth seeing. Click, click, click. I'm not curving it. I'm just clicking on the points of the clouds. Click. I'm not going to make it symmetrical. Click, click, and then I'm going to close it off. Okay, that's how I start. Now, how do I make those curves happen? This is the easiest way to use the pen tool. Start getting used to it, so you're not always changing direction of curves. Once you've made it with just all straights, without ever drawing out curves, you then change to the anchor point tool, and then you click on the anchors you've chosen, and you make your curves one at a time. And because I'm not that picky about my cloud, I can do this. While you're still in the anchor point tool, you can turn out the other curve. See that? I can leave that one and go right to this one. You do one curve at a time, even though it's wonking it out on this side. I can take that curve back and make it into something else. It will not, this anchor point tool, which the shortcut for it is Shift-C, it will not allow me to move the anchor point. You need the small selection tool for this, but this will allow me to set curves for them on both sides of an anchor point, which is very helpful. And if you want more complex curves, you can set curves on both ends of it. And that's so much better than trying to add, what am I looking for? Anchor points and additional curves when you don't need them. Okay, now, if I want to, I can use my small selection tool and move the anchor points a little bit, and additionally adjust the curves. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Now, if I want to make it symmetrical, what do? I draw a guide that shows me what center is, show the guide, and I basically cut it off with the eraser tool, like so. So I can select 1/2 only, copy it. Let's get rid of this one. Select it, copy it, edit, paste it in place. And then object, transform, reflect it vertically at 90 degrees. Then use the arrow keys, move it over. Usually I would do this in different layers. I'd be really careful. But I'm just doing this cloud background. It's no big thing. And I'll be able to reorganize it in Photoshop as a vector. But because this is important to my logo type, it's important to do it as a vector. Okay, now that's placed. Now I'm going to select both of them, holding down Shift, use the Pathfinder tool to merge them together as one shape, get rid of my guides, clean up the anchors where they overlap because I don't even need that anchor point anymore. Just hit minus and delete it. And then I can play with the curve. Any way I like, trying to keep it pretty clean. That will do it, because this is all going to be hidden anyway. All right, let me go to my layers, turn off the text. That's the symmetrical cloud. Even though my text doesn't quite fit on it, this is what I'm going to use. Now, do I want it filled in or do I want it as a stroke? What gives me more options? Filled in gives me more options, and you'll see why. Because I can always add a stroke in Photoshop. So now I'm going to save this with the text turned off because I have these different components. This is a background. I'm going to say text background design as an EPS to the desktop. And you can bring in multiple EPS files for this around your spot illustration. That way you can color them differently with different layer styles. You can scale them, skew them, angle them separately. But any one EPS file you bring in, you have to treat as a whole. Because I don't want you cutting and pasting from individual EPS files because that automatically rasterizes them. So I have my smart text here as a smart layer. Now I'm going to bring in the background. Place that. Whoops. Hold down Shift and Option to grow from the center. Place that behind. And so that I can place it with the text, I'm going to move it behind the text, and I'm going to immediately turn on a color overlay. And I'll make it a light gray at 100% opacity. All right, so now I can also move it. Well, no, I don't need to worry about moving it underneath my illustration yet. I'm more worried about how the text looks with it. So now I can transform it, and I can hold down Shift and Option and bring it in. And you see, because it was outputted with as few anchor points as possible, it's nice and clean. It's symmetrical. Don't know if it's lined up with the center of my illustration yet. Nope. So let's line it up with the center of my illustration and make it big enough to encapsulate the text. Like so. Okay, so now let's move that element. I'm going to mark it as orange. Let's move that underneath my illustration groups. There we go. And on top of my backgrounds. Now this is what it would look like on a black background. Now this is what I'm going to change the color overlay just to pure white. This is what I would call my black and white type solution. So let me save it. This is assignment 8 with text digital color. And now in order to upload it, you can leave your illustration in if you like. But basically, you're going to turn off everything except your type elements if you don't want to leave it in. You could leave just your vector line work in if you want. And I've erased everything that doesn't show except for this extra grunge texture in blue. So I just have to remember not to have that turned on. And I have a color holds copy that I don't think I actually want. So I'm going to delete that. Okay, so this is now my text solution. What do? I save that as assignment 8 text black and white. Not as a PSD file, but just as a PNG to upload to PhotoBucket. And then I go back to my PSD, I turn everything back on, and now I get to work on coloring it. And adding textures, adding color holds if I want, and doing all the fun stuff. The nice thing about grouping is I didn't actually need to turn off everything. I could have just turned off the duotone group.